but today is the exaltation of the Holy Cross. And as I was thinking about that feast day, in Jesus' time, the cross would never be exalted. No one would exalt it at all. It was an instrument of torture. People were very literally scared to death by it. And it was the symbol of the power that the Roman Empire had over the people there. And it was the symbol of the oppression that the Romans would put upon the Israelite people. It truly is a sign of the power over life and death that the Romans had. And so I would imagine that the people of Jesus' time would just say, let's take that cross and let's forget about it. Let's put it away. It's something that we would rather not see anymore. The cross is negative and very forgettable. But we, even after 2,000 years, continue to honor that cross. And so, at the beginning of Mass and at the end of Mass, we sign ourselves by the sign of the cross. We bless each other with it. And also, too, some even wear it around a chain around their neck. And so that cross is important to us. And the reason why it's so important is because Jesus' death and resurrection changes the meaning of that cross for us. It's a sign of what can hurt, what causes us pain, and it tells us that death is part of our lives. But all of those things are not the end, not the be-all and the end-all of who we are as people. God has another story for us that He is writing each day. The sign of torture, the cross, can become a sign of salvation for God's people. And it's the same way in that first reading today when we read about the serpents. Snakes can sometimes scare people. I would imagine if you had a snake in your house, you'd worry about it. You would try to get rid of it. Most people do. I remember talking with a Roman Catholic sister who was doing missionary work in Ghana, and she killed a cobra. Whoa. The difficulty is, she told me, and this is why I realize I am not in missionary work, is that cobras always travel in pairs. And so if you kill one, you don't go to sleep until you get the other one. And think, oh my God, this is crazy. Well, the serpents are scary for the Israelite people. They bite the people and they die. And so they're scared to death of the serpent, just like the Israelite people were scared to death of the cross. But now, that serpent is on a pole. It cannot harm them anymore. And even more so, if you look upon it, what will happen? You will live. You will receive God's blessing of life for you. And so it's just like the cross. Look upon that cross, look upon that seraph serpent, and you will have new life. It is a symbol of pain. It's a symbol of torture, powerlessness, but also, by looking upon it, you will be set free. You will be given new life and new power. So what does that mean for us? Israel suffers. They're in the desert. There's no food. There's no water. There's no easy way to find their new homeland. And the journey has just been too darn long. And now, to top it off, they're being bitten by snakes. And they're not just being bitten by snakes, but bitten by life in general. Things are not going well for them. But God has another story for them. God hears them and sends them what they need in order to live, in order to have new life. God tells them that new life and new hope is possible for them. So maybe we can ask ourselves, what has bitten us? What has bitten us like the snakes of many years ago? Maybe the bite of sadness or illness or joblessness, maybe addiction, loss of a family member or friend. Sometimes life can bite us, and bite us pretty hard. And it can lead us to lose hope and to lose joy in our lives and just say, life is unfair. But essentially, we come here this evening because we know that God has another story for us. A story of salvation, a source of blessing, a source of resurrection, coming to new life. And even when we get bit, God can give us the antidote. He can soothe us and hold us together in the midst of it all. And that is our hope and that is our joy. It also says that in that reading that the people say to God, we have sinned in complaining. I hope complaining is not a sin. Because maybe for me, well, maybe for me, definitely for me, and maybe for you, it's practically a sacrament. If there were an Olympic complaining team, we would probably get a gold medal. I'm amazed, though, at all of the people who can see the good in what happens to them. They may be going through the most horrific time in their lives, but they're still able to see the good. That's pretty amazing. They may complain, and you feel good about it afterwards, and it may be cathartic to complain about things, but in the long run, the problem's still there. It hasn't really helped that much. We are called to be people who are always focused on the hope, though there is openness to complaining. For example, in the scriptures, Psalm 142 says, "Pour out your complaints to the Lord." It's okay. You can do it. You will be heard. St. James says that you will have trials in your life, and we will be supported. St. Paul, even in one of his letters, says that sometimes you have to express your feelings, and you will do that in groans. So I would imagine some of you have seen a situation in your life and you just go, and that's all you can do. But in all of that, God is there present. God is there to hold us up, to hold us in the palm of his hand. And no matter what trial we may be going through, God will always be there, and he will share the pain with us. And so we can always be confident. We can always have hope. We can always know that God will love us in all things, and that we can always be confident because the Lord Jesus has saved the world by his holy cross and has redeemed us all.